For those of you that I don't know, my name is Kelly Murray. I'm the program chair for UCF's Venture Launch program. Venture Launch program is a new program from UCF, and it's designed to help elevate the technology and talent that is sitting within the walls of UCF. Our goal is to help spur entrepreneurship and to help those interested in commercializing their technologies or finding means of being able to license technology from UCF or start their entrepreneurial dreams. We want to be able to give them the tools and resources to be able to do that. I would love to have Dr. Alicia Kopik, who is an associate professor of medicine at UCF. Introduce yourself, please.
Thank you for inviting us here. So my name is Alicia Kopik. I'm an associate professor of medicine in the College of Medicine at UCF. And currently, my research focus is in natural killer cells. This is type of immune cells that recognize and kill tumor cells as well as virally infected cells.
Robert, please tell us about your background.
Yeah, so Kelly and Svetlana, thank you also for the invitation to speak today. And I'm originally trained as a biochemist. I started out in school in California, at Disneyland, California, and then I ended up at UCF. It was some of her original inventions that prompted me to kind of reinvent myself scientifically from an immunologist. It's basically a continual extension of that to this day.
How did the two of you know that you were really on to something?
So all of us have been stricken, either ourselves or our loved ones, with cancer and other types of diseases. Medicine in itself has been undergoing a renaissance over the last 5 to 10 years now. We saw the direct potential to impact human health and patients in need on how to use real cells rather than chemicals as drugs. So at some point, we almost felt not just a calling, but we felt a responsibility to take it forward.
You know, a lot of young companies have the means to be able to take $100,000 and be able to stand up a company. That was not the case with the two of you, was it?
Biotech investment is one of the highest risks for any kind of investment, and in terms of scientific startups, especially in the therapeutic space as opposed to the medical device area, it is the highest low success rates in terms of the number of the companies that actually make it. From the get-go, just courting investment was difficult. We weren't on people's radars. We really had to push our way into different spaces. And even on the tranches of investment that we were able to take in, it puts us at a disadvantage from a runway perspective. Scientifically, the thought will be maybe the success rate might be 50% in terms of doing anything. So you need basically 100% security to fail once. And we were nowhere close to that in terms of the right level of funding for this.
What you're describing is an important point for anybody that's going to be trying to innovate, but regardless of the industry, is making sure that you can narrow in on what that unique element is. Did either one of you have commercialization experience prior to this?
I'll be truthful and say we had no idea what we were doing initially. The road that we ended up on was spurred on by many people. There's a lot of steps to be taken, risks to be navigated through. You just keep going.
Well, I remember when we were talking, you made a statement that you and Elisa have a built-in mutual schizophrenia. Was it that tenacity that kept you guys just moving this thing forward?
Alicia and I were spouses. Obviously, she hasn't killed me yet. And I started out as an assistant professor initially, but then I've completely exited from academics, and Alicia has the academic role now. If a lot of scientific innovators, if they're wearing an academic hat and you try to do this by moonlighting at night, that is very difficult to do. Our built-in schizophrenia allowed me to focus completely on what needed to be done in terms of commercializing this and building the company, while Alicia was able to keep pushing the scientific parts. We have other really, really smart co-founders of Cytosen that who are still all in the academic realm. I'm the only one that really exited out.
Is because you are a unique combination. You're both academic, and then one of you decided to step out and go full throttle into the business world. Have you been able to apply any scientific methods to the business side of this?
I take a very pragmatic, risk-based approach to a lot of choices. And there's this thing in science where you look at all the data and you take it all in, and at some point, you boil it down to a hypothesis-driven experiment. But at some point, you just say, this is going to work. You just go with your gut. And a lot of that's true in terms of business also. You just got to, figure out how to read the chess pieces and you go with your gut.
Yeah, I've heard that before from various entrepreneurs about following your instincts and following your gut, and being able to be flexible, especially in things like your pitch and who you're pitching to. So the difference between pitching to an investor versus pitching to a potential acquirer of your technology. What happened that led to the acquisition?
We've actually had 2 acquisitions within the last 18 months or so. And they're at kind of different levels, right? So Cytosen was first acquired by Cytosen, which is a Dutch pharma corporation, in May of 2019. And then in November of 2020, there was an announcement that Cytosen was acquired by Sanofi, which about a month ago, we just completed the acquisition. Aside from the mechanics of the financial instruments for the acquisition, it comes down to the connections and people and the trust and the bonds you can form within the groups. Because the biggest complication of setting up an acquisition is not so much the period leading up to the acquisition, but it's about having the trust on what happens afterwards. And so if you can't have that trust on what happens afterwards, then you end up walking away. The biggest thing that I think cemented the acquisition by Sanofi is Robert Friesen, who's CSO of Cytosen. He had actually previously sold a different company only about 3 years ago. They just trusted him, I think. And so whether it's an equity cash investment or an acquisition, it's all about the connections on people and gaining that trust.
So I'm curious about what your take is on what you learned about finding the investor that you did. How did you convince him that what you were doing was worth investing in?
Working with an investor is always a tricky thing, and there'll be tough moments where you have to negotiate in terms of investment versus equity, all that stuff. But in the end, they have to have skin in the game. From our perspective, we knew we can define a clinical need and a scientific need. But his need was that you need a treatment so that people can live, literally. And that's, I think, how he formed his need.
Orlando isn't a mecca of venture capital yet. We're looking to change that, but because we're not a mecca for that yet, what's some advice that you have for people that might be in the same situation that you were?
Investment is all about trust. The biggest trust that people in the space take is who's been there and done it. And there is no substitute for that in terms of obtaining that trust by an investor. They'll look at it from a risk perspective, and if there's nothing to buttress that trust with somebody that's been there and done it, that's the first big issue. In any kind of enterprise that you start, it's going to be tough, and you have to be desperate to succeed, and you have to have that mentality to keep it going. Number one lesson that I've learned through this whole experience is you only fail because you don't know what you don't know. And if you could figure out what you don't know, then you just problem solve one step at a time for every single problem that'll come up. But you can't solve the problems that you don't know that are there.
Now, could you have ever anticipated, I know when I invest in companies, I'm always inquiring about maybe what their exit strategy is. Had you all thought about that as you were going through this process? Were you in your mind, kind of creating this pathway to be acquired, or were you just thinking about maybe finding, joint ventures or, people that would license in your technology, but maybe not acquire the technology?
In this space, if you don't go big, you go home. And so you have to kind of go to a risk break point every single investment tranche. And so what I mean by that is if you don't push it all the way, then you're not squeezing the most out of the previous investment. And that forces certain paths to be taken, and you simultaneously explore all of them, and then you just kind of land with what works. It's not so predictive as one might think.
You've had a very interesting, journey from the very beginning all the way until now, and I congratulate you on not only the scientific advancement that's been made to help save lives in the cancer, for those suffering from cancer, but it's a very big accomplishment, I think, and speaks volumes to the opportunities that sit within UCF and within the Orlando region, that we have the resources here to create more success stories like Cytosen. And so that's something that's really exciting to me. I do want to thank everyone, especially Alicia, Robert, thank you both so much. Svetlana, thank you for the introduction to these two super talented people. Thanks everybody that made the time today on a Friday afternoon to join us. I hope that this was especially helpful for you, and stay tuned for future Founders Success Talks in the coming months.